everyone, and welcome to today's Business Builders Podcast. My name is Tom Borg, and yes, we have him back, Mr. Larry Klimek. He's a promise guide consultant, and he's here to share some insights on leadership today. Larry, welcome back to the program.
Hey, Tom, good to be here. Thanks for that introduction and looking forward to having some great conversation today.
Well, I am too. So, Larry, let's talk about, or let's explore this business of leadership. What do good leaders do to grow and develop, and as a result, grow and develop their own companies? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it's a great thing to look into. I would say, in my own observation and working with many leaders, the people who tend to get that little extra out of their own personal contribution, if you will, into their success, is they're always feeding their mind. They're always in search of getting insights. And so, one of the things that, probably, your listenership here might want to start to explore is, what's out there in the realm of great knowledge, whether it be in books, whether it be in podcasts like this, whether it be in any various number of mediums. How do they feed their mind to expand it, to ask better questions so that they can seek out new answers to the same old problems?
Mm-hmm. So where are some of the sources they can use for this sort of thing?
Well, many of my clients have embraced audiobooks, and basically they get an account for their people, and they get them in the habit. And that's probably the biggest piece of this, is that our busy day is filled, and so what happens is that we tend not to allocate investment time into ourselves, because we're chasing down this, that, or the next thing. And so the first part of it is we have to form a discipline to allocate some time, and not a lot. I like to encourage people to just take 15 minutes a day, maybe first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, maybe during a lunch break or whatever. But to take 15 minutes and get yourself into the discipline of listening to an audiobook. Various platforms out there, but by finding good audio material, and it's available on your phone and all of that easy stuff, but it allows you to start listening to any number of business related books or history related books. Autobiographies are one of my favorite, because you can listen to successful business leaders or successful leaders, even if they're not in business, and how they have, matured themselves as a leader to be able to make a difference.
Now, I often hear some of my clients share with me that they just don't know where they'll have the time to do something like that. So you say carve out the time. How do you do that? And especially, how about this? Now, okay, maybe reading a book's one thing, but audio, that's another medium that maybe you don't have to be doing nothing to sit and listen to.
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you, Tom. I actually still cut my own grass, and that hour of time is solitude time.
Sure.
And I've got my headphones in, and I'm listening to an audiobook while I'm pushing the lawnmower. It's an exercise for not only my legs and arms, but also my brain. And I'm feeding it. Am I retaining 100% of every word? Absolutely not. But what I'm doing is I'm populating little parts of my conscious and subconscious mind that allow me to call upon that when a situation presents itself, and now I can go back to that material and seek its wisdom.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is do that listening while you're doing other things that don't require the full use of your mind, like cutting the grass, or maybe when you're working out, or maybe shaving in the morning, or getting ready for work in the morning, or just driving, right? If you're driving someplace in your vehicle, that would be a good time to listen while you're driving.
Absolutely. I put quite a few miles on my vehicles, and I would say will I listen to the radio from time to time?
Sure.
Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
80% of the time when I'm in the front seat of the vehicle, my windshield time is listening to an audio book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become part of my routine. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of leadership development. We have to think about it. If we were to be a bodybuilder, they have a routine
That's right.
for developing and toning their muscles. And if they
Mm-hmm.
skip, a week or two, it takes a lot of effort to get back to where their physique is for
Mm-hmm.
that major championship. And so
Mm-hmm.
as leaders, we have to put ourselves into that kind of professional mindset. If I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
be at the top of my leadership capacity, whether I'm leading an entire company as a chairman of the board or a CEO, or whether I'm leading a sales team, or whether I'm leading myself,
Mm.
individual
Good
person,
point. Mm-hmm.
we have to take the time to invest into the development of ourselves, our being, and our fully present when we're doing that, even though we're doing other things, but being able to take that in and let that shape where our leadership skills can take us.
Absolutely. And you think about it, if you don't make it a point to control the kind of information you're taking in or knowledge that you want to learn, then whatever is out there, whether it be the radio, God forbid, television, that's what's going to be occupying our brain. And that may not be the most productive thought process to continue in our head.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. We are not only bombarded in the day-to-day operation with maybe variants of chaos in our work, but there's also the world we live in, and
Mm-hmm.
access to information is abundant. And so we have to be, again, disciplined enough to sort through where we capture what we feed ourselves. It's kind of like going to the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to the refrigerator and you can pick out a healthy snack, or you can pick out that, ding dong or bucket of ice cream or any number of tasty goodies.
Mm-hmm.
But how is that feeding our body?
That's right.
Our mind is part of our body, and we have to be healthy. We have to be conscious about what we put in our mouth to not add pounds.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
We have to do the same thing with our ears, in how we take information in through our ears and feed our mind, and even through our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Those things, we're feeding our future success. We're also feeding our future understanding of how not to do things.
Mm-hmm.
We are, as a human population, we tend to be governed under lots of negativity. And so one of the things that we have to start thinking about is, if we allow ourselves to live in the refrigerator of negativity,
Good analogy.
The light is always off when the door is closed. So let's open the door, let the light shine in, and let's take a look at the positive side of what we put in our brain and our head, and where that information comes from, and what's the basis of the information. I guess that's more challenging to me today, because there's lots of good stuff out there. There's lots of articles that you can pick up on the internet. But understand, we need to take the time. What's the basis of the research behind it, so that we're getting actual data as opposed to opinion?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, in some research I was doing a while back, it was said that we receive something like 5,000 different messages a day. They're just thrown at us. And that could be anywhere from a stop sign you run by, to an ad on a billboard, or to some kind of a pop-up on your iPhone. So it just goes on and on and on and on. So this information is constantly coming at us. So what we're saying here then is, take some time out and purposely direct the right kind of information, or the kind of knowledge you want to learn, so that you have this pure information, the pure knowledge that's going to influence you in a positive way. Yeah.
I mean, this is again maybe a throwback, but I mean, the word affirmations has been around ever.
Yes.
At
Yes.
least as long as I've been on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And, some people will look at affirmation concept and say it's, worthless or useless, or, it doesn't resonate with them.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other people that, I still know have, little post-it notes, thanks through, those little handy elements for posting in their cars with little phrases on it and things.
Mm-hmm.
Many of the systems out there that are trying to help people through some level of addiction process is filled with helping them take time to affirm themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as business leaders, gaining access to books, knowledge, however you take it in, is again part of that affirmation. You're validating yourself as a person.
Mm-hmm.
You're validating the relationships that you have in the marketplace with your family, with your business team, with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Again, my clients engage me because I am doing the best I can to help them be the best they can be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And to do that, I have to invest in myself so that I can be fully available to them.
You bet. Larry, what you just hit on, there's a very important point, and that is we are being bombarded by these messages. And a lot of times it's advertising, right? And advertisers know how to convince or to influence people to purchase their products or services. And that is repetition, repetition. You watch a ball game or you watch a TV program, it's amazing how much commercials are coming at us now. I got to believe there are more minutes of commercials in a TV program today than there was 30 years ago. But the point is they know what they're doing, and that they keep repeating that message over and over and over again. It does get into that subconscious, and not saying we're going to run out and buy their product, but the next time we are looking for a product like theirs, we're going to consider their offer.
Yeah. There's no question. I mean, I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
the most recent research statistic is, but some years ago, there was a evaluation research that was done by one of the marketing companies, and they were saying
Mm-hmm.
you needed to have a minimum of 14 positive touches to the consumer's brain
Mm-hmm.
for them to be moving in the direction of top of mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And when you have a negative experience, it effectively kind of resets the calibration back to zero again.
Say, yeah.
So, and we have to understand what are the triggers that
Mm-hmm.
cause a positive interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Even some of the commercials that are out there that, I watch, I scratch my head, or I'll ask my bride, what were they selling?
Mm.
And part of that is because of where I'm at in my station in life, and they're
Mm-hmm.
targeting a certain demographic, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And we as leaders, and I think this is maybe an important piece of this, we as leaders, depending upon what's, station in life we are, been around the block a few times, or, just out on our first walk around the block,
Mm-hmm.
we have to respect that there is a different set of, leadership points, and we have to meld them together. The traditions of the past can't be forgotten, and the new ideas of the current day have to be accepted and blended in. And it's a big challenge. And I have found that by, getting back to developing and investing time in self, so that, we have a good cross-pollination, a blend of various, successful people that have taken pretty arduous journeys.
Mm-hmm.
We can learn from them because some of their journeys, the players have changed and the landscape is different, but the journey we are on has lots of opportunity to learn from the journey they were on.
That's right. And to add to that, the concept of a leader, what he's thinking or she's thinking or what she's learning or he's learning, no doubt influences the people that work in that company. So as that leader thinks, so goes the company.
Yeah, it's a direct reflection in the culture of the company. And that's why,
Mm-hmm.
as you know, part of our promise culture approach is that we have to have a purpose statement and
Mm-hmm.
core values and principles that we we all have a common expectation too, so that there's a guidance system. It's the compass. It's pointing in the proper direction according to where the company's going, and that's going to attract great resources for the leaders to build with. Or it's going to push other resources to another opportunity because there's the bad alignment. That's good for both parties. That's healthy. So, as leaders, when we look at this and we struggle in today's, economic times with, staff acquisition, bringing good talent in, part of that is, as leaders, the people coming into businesses today, they're looking for more than just a paycheck. They want the paycheck, and they want a reasonably good, rewardable paycheck based upon contribution. No question about it. And we should acknowledge people for their contribution, but they're also looking for more. They're looking to be part of something that has contribution, something that their given skills and talents are providing into this organization. The organization recognizes it, the clients recognize it, and that has a far bigger, longer lasting energy. And when the owner, the leader, has that as a part of their culture, it actually affords them to be a more stable, a more scalable, more profitable, purpose-driven organization. And it comes at the root of where we started, and that is the individual investing in themselves first by filling their mind with good, positive, successful data.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it does start to top, and yeah, so true in those statements you've made. That culture is what really keeps people, attracts and keeps people in an organization. And if it's consciously put together and focused upon when it comes to building a place that services that client, services the people that work for that organization, then we've got a happy marriage, so to speak, where it's truly on purpose.
Yeah, I mean, you use the word marriage, and I think it's really a good word because, for those listeners, if they're involved in a marriage, there's great moments in a marriage. And there's times that, there's got to be some conversation.
You got it.
and as leaders, we have to respect that the relationships and that are in our business need the time to open up those relationships into being more meaningful, have a greater depth of conversation. Not that we have to get into individual personal dealings, but having the time and the respect to acknowledge people by name, calling them by name. I mean, the name that we have is there for a purpose. Getting back to purpose, and that purpose is a place of identity, self-worth.
Yes.
And so as leaders, if we reach out and we talk to someone and we acknowledge them in a full sense by their name, we elevate the relationship. Whether it be in a business or whether it be on the street. A colleague of mine and I were talking, and we were talking about the challenges we have in our society about some marginalized resources. And, one of the things that, the people on the street that don't have a roof over their head, yes, they want socks and they want food and the like. But one of the things that's very interesting is they just want to be known. And their name is what gives them that sense of being known. So, I mean, if you think about at that level, that's way down the chain, how important it is to them physically, emotionally, psychologically. If we bring that same level of energy as leaders into a business, we have an opportunity to have an impact, not just with the success of the business. That's going to happen. It has an impact that is universal to the success of the people that are in the business and all of the people the business touches.
Absolutely. Wow. So if you were to kind of summarize things here today and kind of give our listeners something to take that could help them on their journey of leadership, what might that be?
Well, it may sound a little self-serving, but I do a little social media post on Fridays called Words of Wisdom. We put it out there in the typical, Facebook, Instagram, and the like. And basically what it does is, I have the honor of working with many clients, and I do a lot of audio reading audio listening and book reading. I give you less than a minute intro into a business book or some book that has been read that you may have an interest in. And it may be something that, people are saying, well, there's hundreds of thousands of books out there. Where do I start?
Yes.
You may want to look that up on LinkedIn, follow the JKL Associates LinkedIn page or Facebook page.
We'll post that right on this video.
Yeah,
for sure.
And the other piece of it is ask other leaders what they are consuming.
Yeah.
What are they consuming that would help you as an individual be a better person? That would be the two things that I would say, gets you to a place where you can start to fill your mind with some great stuff, because there's lots of great stuff out there, and maybe put some of that negative vibe out the back door.
Absolutely on the money. Great point. Great points. All right. Well, Larry, thank you so much for being with us here today. We look forward to having you back next time. And in the meantime, to our listeners, we've got some great ideas here to act on. Now's the time to take some action. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.